Greetings, Glitter Gang, and happy Thursday. Welcome back to Kathryn Scraps Live. My name is Kathryn. In this show, I scrap live, and today we are working on continuing the, what is this called? The Measy Spring Pock-Velope album. Sometimes we get a little off track with the names. I think we just have to acknowledge as a group. And you all share some responsibility here. Okay, I'm not going to take it all myself. But this is the Measy Spring Pock-Velope album. It's a medium easy spring pocket and envelope album. That's where the name comes from. Where we left off is, I think we finished matting page 1. Yeah, we finished matting page 1. So we're going to move on and we're going to mat page 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to follow the new sort of system we've developed where we, let me see, give me one second. I'm just gonna I'm just adjusting how bright some of this light is because it feels a little washed out. There we go. All right. Oh, I see the problem. There we go. That feels better. Okay. So what we've been doing is construction, then matting, then inserts and decorating, and I think that is a fun way to do it, and that's what we're going to keep doing. So where we are is we've matted page 1. So we're going to be working on matting the remaining 5 pages. There's going to be 6 pages. There's 3 pages front and back, so there's 6 sides in this one. And we're going to go from there. It's May 4th, Thursday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Happy Star Wars days to all who celebrate. And yeah, so I made some more progress this week. I now have a way to keep the scoreboard and glass mat and paper trimmer from constantly falling over. So I've solved that problem. So let us continue on. So we're working with 3 different paper collections here. And I'm trying to take 1 sheet from each page or each collection and try and really mix and match. So from this one, let's take the popsicles. It's the little things, you know. It's your paper trimmer not constantly attacking your leg that can really make your day better. And we need a total of, how many sheets do we need? We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different designs. All right, so this is from the Pier by Crate Paper. Now we're gonna take a look at Webster's Pages, Composition and Color. These are all at least like 10 years old, I would say. This is a maybe. We'll see. Let's do this. Let me just flip through it one direction and then we'll flip through it the other direction. So, no, maybe, no, no to that one also. No, 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 already used that one. Maybe even just this wood grain when we get back to it. Actually, this is my first instinct, so let's just go with it. You know what? 80% of the time, your first instinct is correct. All right. Okay, now we have Soleil by Basic Gray. And again, let's flip through it one way and then flip it over. Herm. I may bring in an additional paper collection. We may just go, you know what I'm going to do? I found while I was cleaning, not cleaning so much as unpacking, but I found while I was unpacking a couple things that might be useful here. So let me pull them over and in. All right, I found the kit I made in the How to Make a Kit class, and then I found another Allison Kreft from Webster's Pages. So I'll pull these in. And let's just use all kinds of stuff. All right, so from the kit, what's good about that is that at least this one especially has a ton of embellishments in it. So when we get to that phase, let's use that. And this is from all kinds of collections from my stash, multiple brands, etc. So all right, there's 5. Then before I commit, I'm just going to flip through this and see if something jumps out that I want to replace one of these others with. This is like an anchor. Yeah. All right, there we go. Okay, great. All right, so that's that. And then for those of you who are just coming across this video on YouTube, this is a series. On my channel, there is a playlist. It will be ongoing until the album is done. Fully decorated, inserts, etc. If you want to follow along, I recommend you just kind of use your stash like I am here and just like make snap judgments. Don't overthink it. Just make snap judgments. That's also good life advice. That's what everyone's always saying. Just like make a quick judgment and then don't ever change your mind. Okay. Let's go. All right, so now what we're trying to do. Hi, yes, welcome. We're finally back. I finally have enough stuff unpacked. All right, so I think when we look at this one, the two you see the most of are the two at the top. So let's do This is the liner for the envelope. No. Okay. You see a quarter of each of them except the envelope liner. So let's do, that's the envelope liner. That's the front of the envelope. No, I like these two as the envelope. Let's do these two as these two. This one is one of the free take your own notes kind. But in the first video in the playlist, which is in the archives and on YouTube, whichever way you want to access it, is there's I hold up the sheet so you can take a screenshot of all the measurements so you can have it all on, one image. So it is in the first video in the series. And the difference is in the archives, you'll get all the videos today, and in the on YouTube, they'll come out over the course of a week. So, okay, let's do popsicles, wood, floral, liner. The only thing is this one is the thickest, and I'm not sure I want it as the liner. So I want this one as the liner. So let me commit to that as the liner. Let me take this out. Which would mean, honestly, that's okay. Let's do that. Okay. All right. So, 6 3/4 by however long I want to go. And if I do like to go all the way to the bottom, because it does make it easier for things to slide in and out later. So I'm going to do 6 3/4 by 9 3/4 because it is, it's 10 inches. So let's do 6 3/4 by 9.5. Because we don't have to go all the way to the bottom. We just have to get over the hump. And actually, I'm going to go to the tops of some. I cut it to where I have full popsicles at the top. So you can see it's a little short, but it doesn't matter because it is going to cover where the two pieces join. We just want to cover so that things slide past that little hump. So that's what we're going to do. But yeah, we have all the measurements for how to do the page base are all out already. And they're in the archives and in the, and there is going to be a YouTube playlist. Okay. And we're using pumice stone to ink everything. This is graphite cardstock. So for those of you that have the ColorMates, graphite is the one, but just any kind of neutral gray is going to work just fine. Or craft would work great as well. When you're going to mix a bunch of paper collections, something like craft or a neutral gray is going to be good. So this middle one is next, and that's going to be the anchors. So 6 3/4 by 7 1/4. And I went through and I wrote all these measurements down on my paper so that I wouldn't have to keep kind of trying to figure it out, you know. So let's see. So what have you all been up to? Anyone do anything exciting this week? So for the flat, liner. So the liner is also 6 3/4 by it's for the envelope. So I'll cut that one as well. Our brother's driving down tomorrow to see the new house. So he'll be here around 4 in the afternoon. He's going to leave around 8, and it's about an 8-hour drive. So that'll be fun. And this one we do have to template this. So let me go ahead and template. And again, you will see how to make these. This one is for this, and this one is for this. So yeah, it is nice to have visitors. I mean, the house is still kind of a wreck, but he knows that, so. And we're not trying to impress him. So, no. Judy's got a family gathering to celebrate her husband's 97th birthday. Congrats to hubby. Happy birthday. And it'll be nice to see all the family. And congrats on fully completing your move and not being in between 2 states. All right, so for this one, okay, we need to score it, and we need to score it. So the flap itself is 2 1/4, and we need to score it right above this score line. So we're going to score at 2 1/8, but we're going to kind of choke up a little bit. So what I mean by that is when we go to score it, right, rather than putting it right on the edge here, we're going to scooch it over so it's on this, kind of on this line. And in the future, I think I should score before I cut their little toes off, but that's okay. I'm just going to eyeball it. Oh, it's last weekend, you're in recovery mode. Well, good. I hope you have a smooth recovery. So then I'm going to score at 2 1/8. And then when we go to stick this down, it does take a while to recover. It does. When we go to stick this down, what we're going to do is, and I'm going to show it to you with the envelope open. So this, wow, my math is so bad. Okay, let me think about this. Oh, because 2 1/4 is the size for the paper. The flap is 2 1/2. So it's 2 3/8. 2 3/8. Okay. So you want to score it at just short of 2 3/8, not just short of 2 1/8. So that explains it. That explains it. All right. All right, so let's try this again. Yes, that works. Okay, so when you go to stick this down, you offset them from each other. So you stick this score line to the left of the score line on the cardstock so that these 2 score lines are not touching. And then you don't put any adhesive on this part. You just leave it floating free. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick this down in the envelope. And then we will put this up here, lining it up with the score line. And then that'll give us a nice a nice little pocket liner, envelope liner. Okay, so that's where that goes. So then we just have this flap and this front piece on the envelope. And we need the same 2 templates for those. So for the envelope flap, I'm going to cut this to 6 3/4 by 2 1/4. And then we'll use the template on it. So the template is to cut these 2 corners to match the envelope. And then this one, we're going to cut to 6 3/4 by 4 3/4. And we're going to use this wood. And I'm going to cut it so the rulers are going up and down because it's kind of a more vertical page. Oh, 6 3/4 by 4 3/4 though. Got to use the correct measurements every time. Got to use the correct measurements every time. Okay. Now, if you weren't here last week for the start of this project, then it's all based off the so if you want an actually easy version of this, why do I want to say, oh, quarters. I'm going to write the measurement on this because I didn't change it. I took off 1/8 of an inch so that the envelope would open and close easier. So it's 4 3/4 minus 1/8 of an inch, which is 4 5/8. So 6 3/4 by 4 5/8. All right. Maybe if it's written on the template, I'll to use that measurement. All right. So we've got that one, and this one is. Make sure you do the dot as well. That make the template for the hole for the button and string closure. And that's true too for the envelope flap as well. We also put a hole for a button and string closure on the template. Now you can skip the button and string closure if you want to do, you could do Velcro, you could do magnets, you know, you could do whatever kind of closure you prefer. You don't have to do button and string, of course. That's just what I am doing. All right. Guys, and then we'll stick everyone. And this is not problems. did show in the first video how to do the original album it's based on, and there's a playlist as well for the original album it's based on, as well as multiple versions of an album in the archives. It's literally just called the 6x8 Easy Pocket album. You take one 12x12 sheet of paper, you fold it in half, and then you fold up the bottom quarter. That makes this. All right, so you start with a 12x12. You fold up the bottom quarter, and then you fold it in half. And if you bind it right here, it gives you a pocket. And then if you run a line of glue down here at the bottom, it gives you another pocket right here. It's a very quick and easy way to make. I do recommend 4x6 friendly, and it's also very like beginner friendly. If you're giving it to people who are not crafters, it's easy for them to just stick their photos and memorabilia in the pockets, and then they have a nice album and they're happy with that. Am I closer than I used to be? I can't even remember. I'm gonna have to watch some old videos. I don't think it's bad if I'm closer. I just didn't want to be farther away. I can't find my hole. There it is. All right, so now we're gonna ink. And then for our I'll look for pattern. I'll use pattern paper scraps. I think I need to refill my pumice stone, but I'm not gonna. Oh wait, I do know where my ink refills are. Believe it or not, acrylic is dry, feeling dry. I know where my ink refills are. Oh my goodness. Right here. Okay. Now we just have to find the pumice stone. Found weathered wood right away. That's not the gray I'm looking for. It'd be funny if I didn't have a pumice stone. Ha! It'd be hilarious. There it is. I didn't think it was possible, but you never know. All right. So then I kind of just use the tip of the dropper to kind of push it around. Anywhere where it kind of sits like that for a minute, that area isn't as dry, so then you can kind of go and do other parts. All right. Okay, so it's kind of sitting, so it's definitely saturated enough. I'm going to just set it off to the side so it can dry while we finish assembling the page. Not dry, you know, soak in. All right, so for pattern paper for I'm just looking at the backs. The only two that have backs are this. We have this yellow and we have this teal. So I'm going to just use the teal. So I'm going to punch 2 circles out of this. And I am using 3/4 inch circles. All right. Let's see. So we'll just use those. right, so I'm just going to ink these, and then we'll add the brads and string. And I'm just using the ink that's already on the pad while the dispenser dries. And I have been using the long fasteners because I don't know where my giant bag of brads is, but I rarely use the silver fasteners. So I think we'll have enough silver fasteners to get through the whole project. We need 12. So I think we'll be okay. All right. So we'll put one on this, and then this one just gets flattened. And then I'm just going to kind of, you know, give it a curly zhuzh. And then this. So I'm reading right now a nonfiction about Jim Jones. And because I know about it, the Jonestown, from like, you know, cultural osmosis and what have you, but I've never really read much about it. And I'm always surprised when I learn that like these really evil, messed up people aren't 100% totally evil, and I don't know why, you know, because like it's pretty hard to be 100% good or 100% evil. It's probably impossible. But, you know, the book has started with he was messed up as a kid as well. Like, I don't want to say that he was like totally normal and then, you know, his popularity went to his head, became evil. But like, sounds like he was always a strange one. Yeah, this like, all this civil rights work, he was the first person to have the first white person to adopt a kid of color in Indiana or something like that, and had a fully integrated church always, and like, you know, would go on behalf of all his congregants who needed help navigating bureaucracy, and he would like just get their problem solved for them, and all of that. How he ends up, but like, yeah, it's just been, I just don't know anything about him. I don't even know how he convinced a bunch of people to go to Guyana with him. So like, you know, that's all still to come. But of course, people as a kid have stories about just like very troubling behavior, things like that. So, all right, I'm gonna just put my tape like maybe 3/4 of the way down, not all the way down to the bottom, because it doesn't need to go all the way down to the bottom, and it's easier to slide down inside if there's no tape at the bottom to get kind of stuck along the way. Yeah, like that. It sounds like he was doing all this good, and then so he's now just hooked up with another guy, I believe considered a cult leader now. The divine, is he the Divine Father? Is that what he's called? I forget his name, but he's just now met up with someone who is essentially running what seems like it started out as a really work. Maybe, you know, it's like, but he's running a church where everyone's voluntarily pooling all their resources and supporting each other's businesses, and one really was getting stuck. Okay. So once it's down inside, then I can pull it up and get it situated. Oh, is my mic being weird? All right, let me switch channels. Okay. Let me switch channels in case there's something on the channel that's causing that. Okay, is that better? I did actually switch channels. When I rescanned, it put me in a whole different group, which is a pretty big change. So it definitely sensed some kind of interference. So hopefully it's working correctly now. Let me know if it's improved for you on your end. Okay. All right, sounds like it's better. So hopefully it will stay improved. As y'all know probably by now, I use a radio frequency microphone, not like a wireless. It's not wireless in the sense of like, you know, Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. It uses the actual radio waves, and that's how I'm able to go so far for, like, you know, I can walk around the house if I need to with the microphone and walk through a large space with the microphone. But the downside of that is it's the same type of technology that's used by like churches, radio broadcasters, construction crews, etc. So sometimes you can just end up on the channel and group you're on is like very busy. You know, a lot of people are using it, and then it can start breaking up, or you can start hearing other people's conversations, that sort of thing. So if that ever happens again, just let me know and I'll fix it. And then I guess I need to Google, because I know the groups and channels are all kind of set by region by the FAA, not the FAA, the FTC, not the FTC, the FCC. I was like, which of the alphabets? Which of the alphabets? The FCC limits which bands you can be on in different regions. So different states have different bands that are kind of their optimum bands that are the emptiest in that state or whatever. And I need to just Google and make sure that I have the right receiver for my current location. If not, I'll have to just get a new receiver. Otherwise, that's going to happen a lot. All right. So now I'm going to do the press these sides down so I can do the inside of the envelope. I need a little desk trash can for these pieces of paper because the trash can's not as accessible as it used to be. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a thicker piece of tape to go right above my score line because I want to kind of flatten out, you know, my previous messed up score that I don't need. Yeah. Yeah, he's anyway, so I'll let you know. But the reason I'm reading it is this particular biographer was really highly praised, and some of the things people were saying about various different books he'd written were very interesting. So I just went with this one because it was the one that didn't have a wait at my library. But yeah, he's still in Indiana. The sections are divided by Indiana, California, Guyana. So I'm going to, I'm almost done with Indiana. And I can tell as we're winding down Indiana, he's starting to get weird. So, like I said, he's always been weird, but he's really getting weird now. Because part of the reason he was weird is in his small town, his family were progressive socialists who believed in full integration of all public spaces, and you know that was just. They also had other issues. Like his mom thought she was supposed to be a queen or a really important person in this life. And she, you know, isn't. And like, so she has a lot of resentment against his dad because he comes from a wealthy family, but they're all like hardworking Midwestern, you know, like they all have to work. They don't just get an inheritance or a trust or anything. And so she's really disappointed by that. And she takes it out on the husband and the son and whatever. So like he didn't come from a great background either. Bev says it's the water. Bev, you're telling on yourself if you say it's the water and you're from Indiana. So, okay. All right, so now that's the liner. See, you can't even tell that I messed up the fold. Not really. There's like just the slightest little bit of it. It's okay. And then we'll just tape these others down, and then we'll go from there. And so, yeah, we'll see. But I bet things are going to start going off the rails pretty quickly in California. So... Oh, that's your excuse. Bev's like, no, that's just how it is. Not my fault. I'm from Indiana. All right, so oh, I didn't do this one. I put it to the side without taping it. Oopsie. So yeah, I'm gonna finish. It's gonna take me a while to read that, and I'm gonna read other things at the same time because it's like 800 pages. It's just like a lot about Jim Jones. But I was talking about it with somebody the other day, and they're like, why does that sound familiar? And I'm like, Jonestown? I'm like, that's the Kool-Aid people, you know? Like the... it's very famous. And they were like, oh, yeah. But I guess it was long enough ago that it's starting to feel like ancient history to some people of some ages. This was a person younger than me. So made me kind of think about, you know, how sometimes, I don't know if any of you do this, sometimes I hear a phrase, you know, and I know like a common phrase, like killed 2 birds with 1 stone, as an example. And you know what it means, you know, but like, sometimes I just wonder, but what does it mean though? But like, why are we all saying it? Where does it originally come from? And that made me wonder how many people, you know, like I understand the origin of the phrase drink the Kool-Aid, but how long will it be before no one really kind of knows, and they all have to look it up? Like, what's the length of time, do you think? Oh, wow, Jill. Jill's husband worked for Western Airlines when they were bringing all of the bodies back to the U.S. So, yeah, so that's, yeah, little pitchers have big ears. Yeah, like what are, that's what I'm thinking, like where do some of these, like, it's like, where does that come from? All right. Page, friends. Okay, so we've got another page matted. Okay, now I'm going to do a recording break, and then we're going to map this page next to it. So if you are watching in the archives, just go and go to the next video, see the rest of this show's work. If you're watching on the YouTube playlist, then just click to the next video in the playlist to see how this is going to continue, or if it's not there, just wait a day or two and it will show up. They are going to be spaced out a little bit on YouTube. And then if you're watching live, just hang tight because nothing's going to change for you. Check the video description to see class times and other relevant links. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.